And we are live, baby, live. It's Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I am your host, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the freaking beautiful Piers Austin. And once again, I am joined by my good friend, my brother, my homie, my brother from another mother, Mr. Original Greaser, Robbie Zucco. How you doing today, brother?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, brother. Thank you very much for that intro. You know, it's getting better and better each day. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. Interesting choice of tag in the name there, bro. Like, you want to try and get into the deathmatch scene, or you're breaking into
I, I,
that genre now?
I can do it all. You know what I mean? I can have comedy matches. I can do death match wrestling matches. I can jump off buildings. You name it. I don't give a rat's ass anymore. So I'll give anything a try.
Oh, damn, bro. Well, let's get you into therapy and maybe an intervention after the show. But before we get into our conversation with Tristan Slade, let's take a quick second to tell everyone about Health Vape. So Health Vape is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. And they are vitamin infused. So go and check out all their vape and pod products. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you are tuning in, if you're tuning in on YouTube, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I appreciate it. Helps with our analytics. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. It helps again with our analytics, helps us reach a more broader audience, and helps us bring more amazing conversations to more amazing people like yourselves. So please get to clicking and get to tapping and tap in, and you will not regret it. If you want to support, because this podcast is absolutely free every single week, multiple times a week, you can head over, check out our merch. You can also send in super stickers, bits on Twitch, all that good shit. It all helps to build this thing that we're doing and bring more amazing content to you all. But my God, I feel like I've just rambled on for like a good 2 minutes solid. Is that what I've just done there, Rob?
It's exactly what you've done. You've blown your load in the first 2 minutes, just like wrestling matches these days. So you should learn to tease before you please. Build up nice and slow. Try and make love.
Try and make love, not war, baby. Well, let's try and get into a conversation with our good friend, the smooth ass superstar.
Yeah.
And you got a microphone. Yeah,
Tristan
let's look at that.
Slade.
Yeah, I recognize that, bro. Look at you, professional. But let's get into our conversation with the smooth ass superstar, Tristan fucking Slade. Hey, what's good, fellas? Tristan, thank you for joining the show, brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks, guys, for having me on. This is, I suppose, a long time coming. Piers, you and I have talked about this for a long time, and
Yeah,
finally I dipped my toe in the water, and here we are.
Nice.
I feel
Well,
like
welcome,
every
buddy.
time I feel like every time like you and I are on a show together, we talk about doing it, and it's like it never eventuates. So I'm glad we can actually make it happen tonight and do it live as well. So we got a live audience here. So throw in some comments, throw in any questions you may have for the smooth as superstar, and we'll make sure to try and get to them near the end of the podcast. But bro, what's been going on, man? Like you and like Rob have got to do some of the best vignettes like out there in Australian wrestling. Like they are fucking amazing.
Yeah, thanks, man. Look, a lot of those ideas I feel generate basically out of our own comedy that's going on in our heads. Generally, a couple of times a week, we might message each other and say, "Hey, what do you reckon about this?" And it's the dumbest stuff. It's the dumbest stuff. And we just find it funny, and we go, "You know what? Let's do that, but then let's add something else in. Let's do this and that." Remember a couple of years back, Rob actually did a great one of Bruiser the Serve. This was this this was a classic. Rob, can you turn that on for us right now? It was amazing.
I can't. It was just a one-off thing that I did, and I love Bruiser. He's such a nice guy, and I felt horrible doing it. But I guess it was just one of those things where we just had to amp it up, and it got quite a reaction. Well, I laughed anyway, so I guess.
Bruiser's the kind of guy, like, he'd laugh at that. You know what I mean? Like, he would see the funny side in that shit.
100%. He took it amazing. He goes, "Man, he's messaging me. Oh, that's so funny." Like, and I suppose that's what I really like about some of us older guys that are around. We have that kind of old school fashion, bro. It's okay to pick on me. That train of thought. It's a little bit different. It's almost safe in the circle of guys of our age, which is something a little bit different than what we see today.
But I think that's like, because when we grew up, like I just turned 40 last year, and I think you guys are like maybe a year or two above me, right? So like, I feel like when we grew up, like we took the piss out of each other a lot, right? Like I can remember being like 12, 13 years of age, hanging out with my older cousins who were like 19 and 20. And it was like fuck, they'd take the piss out of my name, no pun intended, or whatever. And it was like, I was kind of like the little lackey, but I got teased or whatever, but it was like, nah, it's still cool, man. I was hanging out. I was like, you know what I mean? It's not like I went crying home but I feel like that's what we're looking at more today, as opposed to that. Cause I feel like we grew up in that generation of like, hey, just fucking, sticks and stones, bro.
Yeah, but it was generational difference, I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was accepted back then. Was it always nice? No, I can remember really copying it during school years. But generation in a generation many moons ago, when we're talking about back at school, I'm talking more than 30 years ago. It's just that's what the times were, and I feel that we've kind of carried that through to our older age, where we can joke it sort of amongst ourselves in that manner.
Yeah, it kind of toughens you up a little bit, you know what I mean? It doesn't make you as sensitive as what you should be. And I'm not saying you go overboard with that type of stuff where people consider it bullying. It's just more just banter, and it's actually it's something that's it's almost like a lost thing because people don't do it as much anymore. But I'll be honest, I do enjoy a good laugh or a banter or something. All of it comes, just a bit of fun. There's no malice behind it. So,
but I think as well, like when you're gonna I think prank someone or just have a joke, like, I mean, like muck around with someone, like you've got to like them to a certain extent. Because if you didn't like them, then you're not going to go to the effort to fucking do that shit. But it's like, I feel like, do you guys feel like today in like this generation being like guys in their 40s, that you have to sort of walk on eggshells a little bit because of like how cancel culture is, and once like speaking out movement happened like a few years ago, do you feel now like you guys have to sort of necessarily hold yourselves back a fair bit when you guys, whether it be out in like within the wrestling world or even out in society in general?
I'll let you go, Dave.
Yeah, for me, I think it's more about the relationship that you have with the individual that you're having banter with. Rob and I will go at each other all day long. We think it's hilarious. There's no real line there where either one of us is going to be offended. So it's I think it's a case of pick your audience. I've got some really close mates that they're family essentially, who he's in the same he's in the same age bracket. We have banter. It doesn't matter. It's funny. and we quite enjoy it. However, again, pick your audience. There are people who are older than me who are not in that same group of banter. They don't enjoy it. So I don't necessarily think it's a generational thing. It happened more often in the older generations. But you need to pick your audience, you know? And having a look at that, you know, it's sort of no different from wrestling. There's different wrestling for different audiences. There's different comedy for different audiences. So I think it's more a case of pick your audience. You know, if you've got a good relationship with a person and that's the flow of it, you know, it's good banter, it's good times, it's good fun. But if it's not in that audience, mate, zip it. There's no, you know, you don't have that.
No, I totally agree. You know, I have that motto in life where, you know, if you at least don't have a sense of humor, you know, we're going to have some serious problems. Because
that's on your page.
I actually seriously I like to have a bit of a laugh, especially in the wrestling business as well. You know, but when it is time to get serious, when you're giving advice to younger guys, yeah, obviously you be respectful. You can be, you know, tough to a certain extent. You don't have to be like it was previously in the old school days, where you just you want to, you know, kick them out of the business or drive them out of the business. I think it's just you just let them know, and you just got to say to them, look, you know, this is what's really happening. So it just depends on the individual, as he said. So you pick your audience.
100%. I mean, you kind of know what you can say to certain people and what they can sort of take. And I feel like, you know, you look at the sort of sense like when it comes to training and stuff like that. Like if you're training someone, you know, in the professional wrestling world, you have to be able to know the personality of the person that you're training, or even the personality of the person you're giving advice to, in the way that you either deliver that training or advice, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I'd like to say there's a couple of good comments coming through from Robbo's and Millennial Man here. And it really, you know, they're in total agreement sort of with us. It depends upon your audience. So I'd like to acknowledge them for, you know, participating in the conversation and saying, yeah, you know, the audience matters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like the wrestling business. The audience matters.
The audience matters, you know. Some turn up for one thing, some turn up for another.
So, yeah, you breaking into the wrestling business, you know, you were actually trained by Animal Harpas, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
So how old were you? Like, when did you actually go and meet Harpas, and when did you start training?
I think I was 18 or 19 at the time. Can't remember exactly. It was around that time. And initially it started. They used to call me Cheese Boy at school. Not sure if we want to know that story.
I want to ask the question to Millennial.
From under cheese from down under.
I want to know why they called you Cheese Boy. But yeah, please continue.
While we're waiting for that response, I'll go back into the story. So I was studying personal training at the time. I was doing a diploma, and I was doing an assignment on the venue that he was doing his training at, and he come up and said wrestling. I was like, oh, I wonder what kind of wrestling that is. So anyway, make a few phone calls. I was professional wrestling. It's with Andy Harpas. And that name rang a bell from when I was a kid. You know, I went to watch Andy wrestle in the clubs. Him, Dazzler Dunlop, Wayne Pickford. So in the early 90s, I was going to watch these guys. And then to have Andy, I was like, man, that's pro wrestling is something I've always wanted to do, you know? And, you know, me and my mate Mike, he now lives in Japan. He used to wrestle here at High Voltage. Phenomenal athlete. Natural. He is what you would call a natural. Everything just came natural to him. We used to jump off like the fences onto trampolines and do all those backyardy type things that you do. So we rock up to Andy's training school, and Andy looks at us, right? At the time, mate, we were skinny kids, fresh out of high school, you know, not much going for us wrestler wise. He goes, look, come in. We'll give you a shot. Give you 2 weeks to learn how to fall. Right? If after that you can learn how to fall, we'll explore it. If you can't, it's going to be a no.
Wow.
So there was a level of expectation there that was a bit not as inclusive, perhaps, as today's environment. It was, here's the standard. If you can't meet it in that time, ta-ta. Right? Tough, but I think fair. And this kind of changed over time. But when we went, that's what happened. And yeah, so we took mattresses, put them on the grass outside. We took bumps every day, just to make sure we wouldn't fail. You know, back bump, front bump, flip bump, mattresses on the grass, bang, 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 over and over and over again. So at the end of the 2 weeks, it was purely in our hands about whether we could take it. At the end of the day, taking bumps, you know, it's a wear and tear on the body. Whether you could take it, it wasn't a case of we didn't put in the effort. Robbo Entertainment, any advice for someone considering going to wrestling school? I'll get to that in just a second. It was a case of the choice was in our hands because we put in the work, right? And I can't stress that enough. You know, and obviously we stuck around, and you know, both Rob and I have been in the business now for more than 20 years each. Don't tell anyone.
But going back there, like, were you practicing every day? Were you at the school for every day for those 2 weeks?
We were practicing every day. We were practicing every day on the mattresses in the yard, just at home, right? Then we will go to the training school 4 nights a week for 4 hours a session.
Wow. That's great.
Right? We hammered ourselves, right? Because we didn't want to fail because we didn't put in the effort.
Like, what year was this? Let's
99?
go back.
99?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of years ago.
So just after, like, around the boom of the Attitude Era, just like around that sort of time where wrestling was sort of white hot.
Yeah,
correct. So there was a definite shift in the environment about what wrestling was and what it was heading towards. So it did sort of allow the introduction of those lighter sort of bodies, and I think Andy was at the sort of forefront of that in this country. He allowed a lot of smaller bodies after myself and particularly Mike came through the school. We came through the school at the same time as guys like Big T, who I don't think he's done a show for many years, but he was 6'7", 140 kilos. He had the look, you know what I mean? So it's very easy, but yeah, mate. At the end of the day, and this is coming back to Robbo's question. What would you look for in a wrestling school? Here it is. Any advice for someone considering going to a wrestling school? Consider where you want your pathway to go would be my first question. Does the person teaching you, are they able to produce? Oh, there you go. Also high voltage was, there you go. That was back in 2003. I would ask, can the person teaching you actually show you the drills? Can they demonstrate the skill that they're asking you to learn? My next question is, do they have students? So can they actually teach the skill? So do they have students who can do the skill? What experience does this person have? So these are all questions of the trainer. And the questions to yourself is, where do you want to take this?
Yeah. So it's probably best that we tell them to actually just join a reputable school, and do your homework before you actually before you join. Make sure they make sure exactly what you're talking about. They know exactly what they're doing. Whether it's g'day Phil, how are you? So yeah, no, I think it's just joining a reputable school that actually, and have a history. Like Harpas has a history. He's been in the business for a long time. You know what I mean? I was trained by Mark Mercedes. He's got a long history as well. So we're in good hands when you get trained by guys like that.
It must have been pretty special for you to sort of see like Harpas at that show last year. I think it was like around October. That he came in and was sort of given a presentation and award. Like, how special of a night was that for you?
Oh, mate, it got me right in the feels. Like, it's very hard to go out and perform in front of this person who has given you an opportunity to live out your dreams, right? And that's really what a good coach does. You know, they set you on your way. So it gets you right in the feels because, you know, like I know he finished up when he didn't want to because he had the stroke. You know, and so it really gets you right in the feels, and it makes for a very special night. What something that and this is where I really enjoyed tagging with Rob. So just a little diversion here. Where I really enjoy tagging with Rob is something that Andy actually taught me. You know, if you wrestle with shit, you look like shit. If you wrestle with quality, you look quality. So, you know, like Rob, you and I were first put together by Zucco, right? As a backstage little thing, I said, you know, Rob was out there. He was out doing his thing with the crowd. Sammy came up and said, mate, can you go out there and say something like, there's no party unless there's a Tristan Slade party. Something like that. Can you go out and do it? Yeah. So split second later, go out, do this, cut this little promo, have a little fun time in the in you know, fun time celebrating with the crowd and getting into stuff with Rob. And mate, every time we get together, it's just so much fun. You know, the work's easy. Yeah. And so I've got to really thank Sammy for that. I got to really thank Sammy for that because, you know, most people don't know that it was actually him that said, hey, go give it a go.
Yeah.
Like, were you wrestling a similar gimmick to like as each other at the time? Like, was that the thing? Like, and then you guys sort of like formed the Greases itself. Like, how did that actually all come about?
Well, you had the character of Mr. Saturday Night, so I think that's where that came about, and obviously I had the Greaser character, so you know, hand in hand, it's all related to Grease and Saturday Night Fever. You join it all together, and you know, you pretty much almost got the same thing, just you know, dancing, gang related. It's just it was just a natural fit. So, but like I said, we had the same ideas on how we went about the matches. So everything, it was always fun, you know. And we got to a stage in our wrestling journey that we were stale. You know what I mean? We just were going, what were we going to do, man? So I came up with that character of mine. And then Slade, you know, had that Mr. Saturday Night. And like I said, Sammy gave us a great chance, which is great. And yeah, now we just have too much fun, way too much fun when we're out.
Way too much fun.
Way too much fun.
But you know what? Like, but it's interesting is like your characters. And I was talking, and you and I had this conversation the other night, Rob, where it's like the thing I like about it is, you know, you're true to like a real like old school tag team from like the 90s, where you look at like some of the teams which you'd consider like comedy wrestling, right? Like the Mounties and shit like that. But they would like even I wouldn't say the Bushwhackers because they'd lick fuckers in matches, but even the Bushwhackers to a certain degree. But like they'd come out, they could do the funny shit, the entertaining stuff. But when the bell rings, they can put an ass whooping down. They can, you know what I mean? Like they can put on a spectacular match. Like the fact that they can be entertaining and be like funny in one segment and then in the match be a thing. And that's where I think like you guys wrestle this amazing style where it's like when the match happens, it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of bullshit, but it's like it's not all funny and bullshit in the match, if that makes sense.
You want to take the lead on that, Rob?
No, you can. You go. It's you.
Okay. Yeah. Look, I think Rob and I have the exact same idea on how a tag match should work. I think that comes down to a lot of it. So we're quite willing to do spots for each other or spots for the other guys in the match to make it, I will say, yeah, more 80s, 90s tag team style, where it's relying on this team versus this team. Both Rob and I can do matches that are completely on the fly, right? Or we can do matches that have spots or a combination of both. My
Yeah.
preferred style is a combination of both.
Absolutely.
I like
Structure.
a bit of work in a match, and I like a few spots where we know we want to sort of up it a little bit, you know. But essentially, a tag match gets back to it's our team versus your team. If your team is working at 2 on one of us, I need the help of my partner.
Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
I'm fighting back against the 2 guys, what do I need my tag partner for?
Exactly.
And that's the psychology of the tag matches that I think is maybe a little bit missing today, where we're building that heat and I'm looking to get my partner in. You know, I need him involved in the match because I'm being taken down by 2 guys. Let's be realistic in life. If 2 guys are beating me down, I'm going to need someone to step in.
Correct. I think it's also one of those situations where, as a tag, we're a very giving tag team. So you know, it's all about, you know, how we can make them look good. You know what I mean? How we can look like idiots. And like we said, it's all about, you know, just working the crowd and you know, trying to make it as something that actually makes sense, which is, you know, I mean, I prefer like an 80s, 90s tag, but that's just the way I was trained. But I'm happy to add whatever spots people want to do, especially in the modern day. So you try and incorporate both.
Yeah.
Is working on the fly a dying art?
I do believe it is. I do believe it is. But the thing you have is there's a lot of guys out there that can actually do it. Especially when I was over in the States and I learned how to do it. It's just a lot of people they get worried. They get really worried that they're gonna forget something or mess something up. So it shouldn't be. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be a dying art. If you learn the fundamentals of pro wrestling when you go to a reputable school, you should learn how to do that. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. So, Dave?
Yeah. Like for me, I think the working on the fly, we say it's a dying art. I'd like it to see it more as rather than dying, maybe lessening, right? A lot of guys like spots. A lot of the crowd likes to see spots. They like to see, and we know that with those, I mean, we can think back as far as Steamboat Macho Man. If we want to go back to a top level where these guys worked out spots that worked with the crowds and stuck them into a final match and said, okay, this is going to work. But they still had all the work in between, right?
Yes.
I would like everyone to be able to work on the fly because in the event that you pick some spots and things aren't going well, you miss a spot, you can't remember something, you should be able to just lock up straight into something, take them down, get back to work, right, and get right back into it. Whereas if we panic because we don't know how to work on the fly, oh, what was next? We're standing there looking like we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, Robbo, there too many spots can make it look contrived. Yeah, it can. Like if we can have a look, you know, mate, if you get 2 or 3 spots that you work out and you're working in between those 2 or 3 spots, mate, that's going to be a pretty solid match.
Well, I remember seeing a match, a tag match on NXT, and it was like what happened was, so the baby faces worked the heels into their corner. The main baby face, the one they wanted to get over, hits a finish, tags the partner in. The partner comes in, looks at the girl on the ground, looks back at her, tags her back in, and she gets back in, looks around, gets down, does the cover 1, 2, 3, and I'm going, what the fuck was, you know what I mean? Like for someone like myself who's untrained to pick shit up like that, like I'm just going, like, what
Was
the
that
fuck happened?
Was that just inexperience, or was that actually meant to happen that way?
It was not meant to happen because it was the commentators didn't put it over.
Yeah. Okay. So it was just inexperience, and it's not they're working on the fly either. They obviously sometimes with spots, if you overcomplicate things, that's what happens. So that's what you probably saw.
Yeah, I think you end up with higher quality spots when you're consistently training, and I'm going to take this right back to training now. You're consistently training or consistently working with a group of people, same group of people, and you call me something, backdrop. We know that it means do X, Y, Z, etc., because we've done it a million times in training or in shows, right? So you can still call that. It looks like an amazing spot that's been done, but you really just called it.
Yeah.
But you've trained it or you've performed it so many times. That's where it starts. Those spots start to really gel together. You know, you get this mix between calling it and the spots.
Yeah.
Because you've done them so many times. Repetitive. Again, actually, I was having a conversation with Hunter from Rock and Roll recently at the last show we did. And he and I were having a chat. We'll get onto that, Millennial Man.
Yep.
He and I were having a chat in regards to when he went overseas and the reps, getting through the reps. I think that comes down with the spots too. If you do spots often enough with guys, you automatically know them. The guy will be standing in a certain position, you know the spot's coming. You don't even have to talk. So, and I think you get the reps in, everything improves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I think as well, like if then you can actually work on the fly if you have those reps already built in, if you consistently know, as you said, you can look up and know where that person is, knowing, okay, this is what's coming up. You know what I mean? Like then it's, you know what I mean? You're eliminating that talk as well, which is then it looks more fluent. It looks more, you know, in the ring as well.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, do you believe that wrestlers these days, especially ones that are like playing, especially heels, do you think a lot of them are too scared to look bad out there?
Quite often, yes. I know many a times I don't mind going out there looking silly, doing the dumb stuff. Because maybe it's what the match requires, maybe it's what that audience requires, maybe a more child-filled environment. Rob, you and I have done many a dumb stuff when we're the heels. Many a dumb stuff, run into each other, punched each other, taking the same move straight after each other. Even I relate back to the Rock and Roll, the shovel. Shovel, completely unplanned. And yeah, sorry about your head. Completely unplanned. But
shovel.
It was a big shovel, wasn't it?
It wasn't even a gimmick shovel. You just see him coming straight at me. I'm like, this, you fucking kid.
Yeah. You had to take a shovel to the head.
but yeah,
that's what
there was a question there from Millennial Man, actually, which I think it's good to go back to. What makes a good tag match?
Yeah, let's go into
what makes a perfect tag team match.
Perfect match. Wow.
Can I give from my perspective, and then you guys can sort of pick mine apart because you guys are both 20+ year veterans. For me, a good tag team match is you've got to have like someone who can get in there and take the heat from the heels, get an ass kicking, and then have a big guy to come in and get a shine and be able to work fluently together. That's one style of it, but you've also got to have two guys that can have, for me, honestly, it's got to be good gimmick to start to make a good tag team. So they've got to have matching gear, all that sort of shit. But a good tag team match is probably something where the guys will be able to go in there and they're going to have, something that's not going to be too much of multi-man at the one time, because I feel like wherever there's like 3-4 guys in the ring at the same time, it just gets really combustible. So, but I think to make a good tag team match is, make sure the heels get in there and get their heat. The babyface gets their shine with a hot tag. If it's a finish with the heels going over, make it entertaining, make it something that's going to get them a lot of heat. If it's the baby faces, give them a shining moment. You guys?
Rob?
Yeah, well, look, to me, the perfect tag match, you don't actually have to have the perfect moves. You know what I mean? I believe that you need to make sense of it. If you don't have the perfect psychology, it's not going to work. So I believe that my perfect match would be you have the perfect psychology, you get the audience, once you get them in the palm of your hand, then that's it. So that's a perfect match to me. It's not a 5-star classic. And I've seen it. I've seen it so many times where I've seen so many great athletic matches, especially in tags, and zero reaction, zero anything. And I've seen like some really sloppy tag matches, but they had like psychology and they had simplicity to it, and it actually worked. And the crowd were hot. So, but then again, I've seen the best of both, So, but to me, it has to be, you have to have perfect psychology.
Yeah. So for me, that perfect psychology leads into what I want the audience to feel. Right? I want to take them on a journey. I want them to emotionally high, low, etc., etc. And this is where the psychology comes from. Is we want them to be on the verge of wanting to kill the heels, right? We want them so badly wanting that tag that when the tag happens, it's almost as big a pop as when the finish happens, right? So the more we can draw that out to a point where the people are just up and down and up and down, and we're almost giving them the tag. To me, this comes back to Andy Harpas's or Animal Harpas's psychology. What we want to do is, we've got a cake. We want to cut them a slice. We want to take the slice. We want to offer them a slice. No, take the slice back. Show them the whole cake. No, come back. Oh, I'll let you taste the icing, right? Taste the icing might be the false tag, right? Eventually, when that tag happens, the place should erupt because it's been so unfair. The 2-on-1 fight's been so unfair. We don't want to see this guy get beaten up. I want to see this crowd. Thank you, All Star Wrestling. I want to see this crowd go on an amazing, heartfelt journey. Now, as Rob said, you don't need to be the greatest. It doesn't need to be the greatest athletic contest. If they go up and down with emotion, when that tag happens, mate, they will explode.
It's like what you said, though. It's like if you can get them to emotionally invest, and that's something that, like I said, I've said on the past 5 podcasts that I've done, wrestling it's to get your audience emotionally invested, whether it be happy, whether it be sad, whether it be angry, whether it be like hilarious. You have to get some sort of emotional reaction from them.
Yeah, and also too, you got to entertain. That's exactly what it is. Don't kid you not. Yes, it is wrestling, but more importantly, it is entertainment, and you have to go out there and entertain. You have to have charisma. You have to have wrestling ability. You have to have it all. So you need that. You need that overall entertainment factor about you.
Yeah.
You guys,
like for me, if I was to think about it in another genre, right? Imagine you went to the movies and nothing exciting happened. The hero was never in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Never in jeopardy. Would you care if they won at the end?
No, it'd be a boring movie. It's like the Titanic, the movie. It's a great doco, but without the love story, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It doesn't work. It'd just be one big horror, and that's it. You know what I mean? So you actually need that story to be told.
Yeah, no, I agree. But getting on to like the next part I was going to ask as well, like. I was just going to say, like, we'll talk about tag team psychology, actually. Like, if anyone who's watching or listening wants to actually go and see a very interesting story about that, go to my YouTube channel, quick plug, and have a look for a clip that I did, an interview I did with Al Snow, where he talks about going to a local indie show.
Dewey
and
Brown,
basically,
Dewey Brown.
Huh?
Dewey Brown.
That's Dewey the one.
Very good story.
And you know what?
Story.
he tells me this story and breaks it down. I'd never heard it before. And honestly, he was there, and he goes, the whole time I was just there to see this fucking tattoo, and he goes, and then this match, but he got everyone at the end of it. He wanted the promoter, his opponents, his tag team partner wanted to kill him, but the audience fucking loved him.
Absolutely.
That's a great story. Yeah, I would strongly suggest, if you haven't heard the story, go there and watch it. Al Snow tells it brilliantly. If this is the one where he's in the ring, where he's talking to a whole bunch of people that just turned up to do a seminar for, you might have done your one live.
Yeah, he did
do your one live.
Your
one live, but there's also one he tells the same story in a seminar, and it is wow. It is unbelievable. And yeah, you know what? The guy didn't want to lose. Needed to tag out, mate. Oh, brilliant.
What do you think about that? Because I recently heard a story that happened at a local show where basically these guys were told to sort of work out their own match, who's going over, who's going to be looking up at the light, so to speak. And apparently one of the competitors turned around and said, I don't want to do the job to this guy. Goes to the ref, says to the ref, hey, do a fast count when I hit this move. Does that, sprints to the back, grabs his shit, and in his ring gear sprints out of the venue through the crowd. Let me get your, what do you think about that?
We're there as entertainers. If you can't put that first and foremost, if you can't put the fact that somebody paid money to walk through that door above your ego, mate, maybe you shouldn't be there.
What? Al Snow never drew a dime. In all honesty, he wouldn't have been in the WWE for so long if he didn't draw anything. So maybe not as much as the bigger boys, but he still drew something.
And I think Millennium Man, you're completely off the mark there. But Rob, what's your thoughts on what we just sort of covered there with that what happened at that show?
What show was it again? Can you just refresh it for?
I don't think the show matters. The act.
The show doesn't matter, but the act of what happened. What are your thoughts on someone going in there and going up against, basically what had been agreed upon and going into business for himself?
Okay, yeah, it is totally wrong. I knew what you guys were talking about. I was just playing with you guys. Look, it's something that should never be done. It's and you know what? The actual the promoter should have known too. He should have actually, basically sat them down and said, "This is exactly what's happening." You know what I mean? So there obviously was a little bit of free reign there. To do what they want, but no, in a million years, you don't do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It was just silly. It was just really, really silly. If you decide to do that, you're going to be guaranteed you're going to get a lot of heat. You know what I mean? A lot of heat. And unfortunately, that's what happened.
Yeah. I don't mind if somebody wants to build heat for themselves within the business and cause themselves grief. My problem is people paid money. People paid money. They walked through the door. They put their money down and said, right, I'm here to watch this. And somebody goes into business for themselves. I don't always agree with going under at a certain time or something like that. But you know what? There are people there that have paid money. I'm out there to do the best that I can with whatever's given to me. I think it's wrong to shortchange the people that walk through the door.
But this is the thing. Was he supposed to go over or wasn't he? That's the thing. Because I think
I don't know the business of the match.
Yeah, and
I got told he was doing the job, and then he turned around and went, I don't want to do that. I don't know. I haven't spoken to the person or the promoter, but I have spoken to someone who was at the show, and they told me what happened.
Yeah. Look, anyway, it's happened before many times. I don't like it. Again, if I'm a paying customer, I don't want to come and see that.
Yeah.
right? That's
you can
not what
always
I paid for.
that happens. It's just like there's a dip in that end of the match. Like it just goes dull all of a sudden. So it's like it's not something that you should be doing. You know, there's so many times where we've not wanted to job only because some of the guys that we've gone against, like, man, you know, they're really, you know, they can't even put a headlock on, and then we're jobbing to them, but we were professional enough to go, sure, no worries. It's not that you hate losing. Sometimes you go, shit, some people just aren't trained very well. So,
but you know what? Like, have you seen the clip online of Marty Jones? He was actually wrestling this guy who was an Australian guy who went over to the UK, went up to him and said, "Yep, I'm a professional wrestler from Australia." And they said, okay, cool. And for some reason, they put this guy going over Marty Jones, who, for people who don't know, Marty Jones trained William Regal, Ridge Holland. Yep. He's, you know, tagged with Andre the Giant, Rey Mysterio Sr. Like, he's a very, very well-known international veteran. And Marty Jones was in the ring with this guy. This guy could, and you watched the match, like, you could tell that this guy had no idea what he was doing. Like taking a bump was weird. Everything was off. And then it got to the point where, like, Marty Jones just goes boof and knocks this guy out clean. The referee's called the bell, and, like, Marty Jones has just gone to the back. But it's like, this is probably what, in the 1970s, you know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, would you consider that going into business for yourself? Like, if he knocked him out and then laid down and put him on top of the while the ref counted 3, would that be an okay?
Oh, I've not seen the situation. Obviously, you could understand Marty's frustration with that. At the recent event that you're talking about, again, I won't name where it was or who it was. No. But I was there. Wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
Right. Again, people have paid money to see it. We should be giving them their money's worth. They're there to be entertained.
Yeah. And going back to Marty Jones, I think what that wasn't really going into business for himself. He was actually much more of a accomplished wrestler and a worker than the Australian guy. So he was probably more frustrated that this guy couldn't work, you know, or couldn't work as good as him. So he just decided to clock him. And, you know, everybody used to give each other receipts, you know, potatoes, whatever you call them. It was probably just one of those things where he just hit him a bit too hard and just knocked him out, and he goes, oh, okay, you know.
Shit happens.
So, yeah, that can be questionable, and compared to what happened.
So getting back onto the situation that happened recently, like, do you think this young performer will not be booked anymore by any place, or do you think anyone will actually still book him?
Look, I don't know. I'm not a booker. I would hate to run the books. I think that's a tough and sucky job. The professional wrestling industry is generally dictated with a lot of egos. Some need squashing, some don't. Look, it's up to the bookers, you know, whether they can make use, whether they have something for this person. At the end of the day, the idea is you're supposed to draw people in and entertain them, get their money's worth, make them buy another ticket. You know, if people are drawing, they're the people you want to book. You know, like, at the end of the day, I'm sure the promoter's there to make money.
100%.
They should be.
100%. You know? But do you, like, the people that are drawing, would you necessarily have them going over every show?
No. That doesn't make sense. It comes back to our movie. You know, we need people in jeopardy. We need tragedy. We need high times, low times. People can't go over every single time. You know, Rob and I have gone under more as a tag than we've ever gone over. Ever.
Do you think, like, being told to, like, have to job to someone is a punishment? Like, have you ever guys felt like you've turned up to do a show and you said, hey, you guys are doing the favors tonight, and you felt like, oh, we're being punished for this, and this is like a punishment thing?
No. No, never once did I actually feel like that. The only time I kind of like got that mentality where I'm there going, but I hope this guy can make it through the match, because he can't do much. You know what I mean? So
100%.
you got to work extra hard. It's the whole, remember the guys who work with, the Ultimate Warrior and whatnot. The guys that worked with him were the ones that made him. The Rick Rudes made him. And even though he looked the part, it was them that did it, and they had to work so hard. So I guess you're working twice as hard when you got guys that don't make your life easy.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, like going into get him, Phil Picasso in the comments going off. But like, do you feel like, with your career, like, have you had an opportunity to go overseas? Have you had an opportunity to go to the UK, go to Japan, or go to the United States and wrestle?
Opportunity, yeah, but I never capitalized. I was very satisfied with my life back here in Australia. I had, and I still have, the exact same lovely woman in my life. We now have 2 kids that we've had for a long time. There's a difference between having the chance and wanting to chance everything to take it. I never, like, I got mates that live in America. Hey, come on over, we'll get your bookings. Yeah, no worries. I got a mate that lives in Japan. He wrestles for a Fed. Oh, he wrestles on and off for Feds over there. Come on over, we'll get your matches. I don't want to risk what I have here to chase a dream. And in my prime, and Rob and I, we were discussing this the other day, actually. And this is why I have no regrets about not really trying to pursue that avenue. Because the benefit of mine in my own personal life, my family, is amazing. So I would never change it. Never. I think that if you take that and you throw that all away and you don't make it, and in my prime, I probably needed to put on an extra 40 to 60 pounds of weight. I'm not a heavy set guy by nature. I don't have really big, broad shoulders. I'm 6 foot tall, but I don't have the big, broad shoulder look. I would only have gotten it one way, and I don't want to go down that path. Right? There's not. You're right. I would have only gotten the weight on going down one path. If you can pick up what I put down.
I got a lot of respect for that. You chose to have a beautiful family life. I'm very, very similar, and it's not a bad decision that you made. It's actually a great decision because you're happy, you're content, and that's what life's all about. You know what I mean? We do what we do now for fun and enjoy what we do. But yeah, it's admirable what you've done.
Yeah, 100%. And your wife is actually in the business as well. Are we going to put that over as well?
I don't know if do we want to break the kayfabe?
Yeah, I think we might as well, bro. Like, I think we've broken so much kayfabe tonight.
For those who don't know, it is Flame. Flame is my wife. She's she's just fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of her. She's always been there to support me. With booking, I've got all this booking here. She'll come along. She'll do manage. She's managed us many times, Rob, when she can't get a match on the card. But just in life in general, I'm super stoked. I would never change it. Yeah. Not to chase that dream. I would never chase it. So for those who haven't met her, she's just really amazing. She gets along with pretty much everybody. She's really easy to get along with. So if there's any female workers out there that haven't worked with her yet but would like to, just hit her up. She'll go along. She'll enjoy the ride. I think recently she down at Rock and Roll she took on she wrestled Jimbro Jesse, and that was the first time those two had ever met. And they looked like they had a great time together. They certainly put on a crack of a match.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
she always has a good match with Nikki Petite. So the two are fairly athletic.
I think Flame as well. Like so many people, like so many like women have the opportunity, and I see on social media like people posting and tagging with her. Like there's so much admiration for her as well. And then when like I've had the opportunity to work on many shows with her, and she's always such a lovely person to chat to. But we are going to be getting her on the podcast very, very soon. So guys, make sure you keep an eye out for that. Robbo says Flame versus Jimbro Jesse was a great match. It was a
Absolutely.
Thanks, Robbo.
No, it was good. It was really entertaining. I loved it.
That's it. But guys, without further ado, it is that time of the show for 60 seconds with Piers. How this is going to work. I've got a bunch of questions I'm going to fire off at Tristan. He's got 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. Are you ready to get the clock started, Tristan?
Let's do it.
All right. We'll start it off. What sport did you play as a kid?
I did mix between martial arts, soccer, and gymnastics.
Okay, so name a gross meal combo that you love that no one else does.
Meal combo that I love and no one else does. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I eat gross foods.
Okay. So, all right. So here we go. All right. What is the shittest gift you have ever given someone?
Maybe nothing.
All right.
Ignorance, maybe.
All right. So now this may be a heat-seeking one. What is the shittest gift you have received?
Don't be shy.
This is the problem of being a very thankful person. You don't remember stuff as being crap. Man. Maybe, honestly, maybe it was nothing when people should have gotten you something. Anything.
All right. We'll take that. Okay. Name 5 things that are sitting in front of you.
5 things. Ring light stand, mobile phone, empty glass from can, and a microphone stand.
There you go. In 5 minutes, you're being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
Excluding human beings? Maybe underwear. And a toothbrush.
That has been 60 seconds with Piers, with Tristan Slade. Man, this hour has just sort of flown by. I think we got to do a part 2 down the line, but we did talk before that we are going to do a combined episode with you and Flame. So we got a lot of great content coming up, and you guys are going to see Tristan popping up on the channel a couple of more times, a few more times, hopefully in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. But Tristan, where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they get some merch and follow you and show you some love?
Okay, so social media, look up Tristan Slade Original Greases on Facebook. That's a Facebook page. You can also look at Tristan Slade 2022 on Instagram. And don't forget to also look for Rob on all these pages.
I'll be there.
Find Rob, live in La Vida Loca 79, and like we generally operate as a duo, so we always have great fun. We kick each other's promos all over the place. Have a laugh at what we do. Our latest promo out there, if no one's seen it, for a show we've got coming up, mate, we're getting slap silly. Please jump on, look on it, give it a like, give it a share. We've got really sore faces from it.
Next video. Can I be in the next video? Like, I'll
100%. Come on down. Just something that Rob brought up earlier was my 2 girls really pack a punch when they hit.
My jaw is fucking sore. My jaw is sore after that. I'm going, fuck, they hit really hard.
So that's how I keep in line. I'm afraid.
Well, guys, thank you for everyone who tuned in live. Thank you for everyone who checked out after the show, after the live. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on YouTube if you're listening on a podcast. Rewind. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. I appreciate it. I'm losing my mind. It's been a great conversation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for giving time on your Thursday night to sit here, to bullshit with me, to talk a bit about wrestling, and let's make sure we get it done again soon, huh?
Awesome.
Cheers. Thanks, Piers.
Yeah. Cheers, brother.
Take it easy, boys. Peace.
Yeah, go Grease Lightning.